Let us prepare for meditation by singing, I Rise to the Divine. I rise to the life of the divine in me. I rise to the truth and it sets me free. Would you sing that with me? I rise to the life of the divine in me. I rise to the truth and it sets me free again. I rise to the life of the divine in me. I rise to the truth and it sets me free. I rise. I rise. Would you sing that with me? I rise. I rise. Once more. I rise. I rise. Let's sing life again. I rise to the life of the divine in me. I rise to the truth and it sets me free. I rise. I rise. Once more. I rise. I rise.
I rise to the life of the divine in me. Friends, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze and just become aware of your breath as we pause for just a moment. These past several weeks, we have been on this Lenten journey to arrive in this moment, this day, into this opportunity to rise. To rise with the life and the love and the peace and the joy of the divine in us. I rise. On this glorious Easter morning, I rise. Rising in this way, rising in this place of consciousness means that we have overcome the lack and the limitations, the inconsistencies, the fear, the doubt, the loneliness. We rise knowing that we are one. We rise knowing that there is only one life, God's life, and we are living it now. We rise by being committed to that eternal wellspring within and living from that place, not from the lack and the limitation, from the confines of this mortal experience, but living from the eternal presence within. I rise on this Easter morning. On this glorious, beautiful, heart-opening Easter day, I rise. And so in this time of silence, of stillness, I invite you to shift all of your awareness to that inner wellspring. That place where the Christ is alive and a light within you. And say, into your waters I commit my spirit. Into your life I commit my spirit. Into your love I commit my spirit. And from there we rise. In the stillness and in the silence, I rise. On this Resurrection Sunday, I rise. One with the life and the love and the joy and the peace that is God. I rise fully aware of the Christ I am being called to be. I rise with cross. I rise as one with the one. On this Easter Sunday, I rise. Say that with me. On this Easter Sunday, I rise. I rise. And so it is, and so we let it be.
I rise to the life of the divine in me. I rise to the truth and it sets me free. I rise to the life of the divine in me. I rise to the truth and it sets me free. I rise. Again, I rise. I rise. I rise. And as we prepare to receive Rev Todd's message, let's do that again. But this time, we're just going to bring up the energy a little bit.
Say
Oh, thank you, Deidrey. I got to check myself out over here to make sure that I'm standing in the camera, y'all. Nick, we're holding Nick and Leslie in prayer today. They weren't feeling very well, and so the cameras can't follow me around. So I'm and normally Susie's back there and she'll stand up and she'll be like, "You're out of the camera." Whew. Yeah. This time of year, I have always been enamored with all of the "He is risen" paraphernalia. You know, it's yard signs, it's cards, it's everywhere. He is risen. He is risen. Christ is risen. Even that song, "Christ is risen." There's a YouTube video of someone who sings that, and it is not a joyful sound. And there is no joy. It's, "Christ the Lord is risen to." And it's not very joyful. And so I've always liked, Christ is risen. What does that really mean? And to me, right, it's here's the curious thing. What does Christ is risen mean in us? Because we have that fifth principle, right? It's not enough to know the truth. You have to put that truth into practice in your own life. And sometimes I think that in our modern world, that we can sometimes be distracted about what the Christ is doing in somebody else. Have you ever known anybody that's like, "That's not very Christ-like"? Right? Is that what Jesus would do? Is that what Jesus would say? We get very judgmental about it. But if Christ is risen in us, what does that mean, right? Because here's the truth. If Christ is not alive in us, then resurrection remains something that we celebrate, but we do not experience. I was drawn this week to the writings of May Rowland, who was a beloved Unity teacher, and she delivered this in a message that she did. "The same Christ is in you that was in Jesus Christ, and you are closely related. You may not be able to handle your difficulties through your own efforts, but you can handle them when you call upon a power greater than your own personal self. It is not by mentally struggling that you meet your problems, but by letting go and letting the Christ in you take over." Letting the Christ in you take over. Well, that can be scary if you have not been joining along in this little Lenten journey that we've been on as we've been releasing, and that whole Lenten practice of giving things up. And in the Unity tradition, what we give up is those thoughts, ideas, beliefs, behaviors, those things that do not serve us in becoming the Christ that we are called to be. She also said, it is in his steps we are to follow. We are not to follow Jesus just as an ideal, but to put on the Christ consciousness as he did. Paul says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." There is no virtue, these are her words, not mine. There is no virtue in saying that we are following Jesus Christ if we do not follow his teachings. Healing people, feeding the hungry, lifting people up out of that consciousness of separation, of lack, of limitation, of pain, of sorrow. He lifts people up by meeting them where they are. So we have to follow his teachings. And what she reminded me of so clearly in the readings that I did from her this week, May Rowland, is that she reminded me that Jesus Christ is not distant or delayed. Christ is an ever-present reality for every one of us. And Jesus Christ is the perfect ideal in the mind of God into manifestation, meaning that it is available and possible for each and every one of us here in Playground Planet Earth. It's there and it's available to us. It's not something to wait for. And understand this, it is not something we have to earn. It is something for us to recognize. It is something for us to embody. On Friday, I participated in the Good Friday Project. If you were not able to see it, the link is in your email, or it's available on YouTube under Southeast Unity Ministries. And I was reminded during one of the talks about hyssop. Hyssop. This is hyssop. This beautiful flower. Hyssop. If you remember, Jesus is being crucified, and one of his last phrases was, "I thirst." And they took a branch of hyssop, and they soaked it in wine, and then they placed it in his mouth. But we have to understand the cultural reference of this hyssop. Earlier in the Hebrew scriptures, in preparing to get out of Egypt, the Hebrew people were commanded to take branches of hyssop and dip them in the basin and then paint their doorways with blood. And that then allowed the Holy Ghost to pass over their homes and not take their firstborn children. Right? Because Moses had called down, and so all of the Egyptians experienced some death, but taking hyssop, which is an herb that is used for purification, for cleansing. So even in that moment of approaching death, Jesus becomes purified again, giving up the last of the personality to become the Christ of his being. And so in every single moment that we have, right, because resurrection is not about death, it is about overcoming the appearances of the material world. And so there is a purification that we are invited into. So there is a cleansing. And before we can be resurrected to awaken to the truth of who we are, we must be cleansed. We release our fear. Do we look around in the material world and think there might be something we should be afraid of?
No.
No? Good. We shouldn't, but sometimes we do. Sometimes we have a health condition that we think, ooh, this is going to define me. Or we think that we have a relationship that defines us, and maybe that relationship is not going too well. You ever had one of those? Or, I've had jobs before that weren't going so well, and I really came to that realization when the stapler went flying across the room, We have to release false beliefs about what our source is, what our security is, where we place our faith. We have to release old identities that contract us into being small Because we are powerful beyond measure when we know who we are. And hyssop reminds us that what is not true must be cleared so that what is true can be seen. So that what is true can be experienced. So that we can taste the sweetness of the wine. The abundance, the prosperity that is available to us at all times. A traveler set out on a path that they had walked before. It was not a new path. It was not unfamiliar. It was a path that had once felt clear beneath their feet. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. Not in the landscape, not in the path itself. Something shifted in them. What once felt certain began to feel unclear. The trees seemed closer. The turns less recognizable. And the quiet began to sound like doubt. And the traveler stopped, trying to remember. What is the way? They stepped forward and they stepped back, and they tried another direction, and they walked faster as if urgency could restore clarity. And the faster they moved, the less they knew. And what had been a simple path became a place of confusion. After some time, a ranger appeared on the trail. He was calm, unhurried, as if nothing were wrong. And the traveler, relieved, said, "I think I've lost the path." And the ranger looked around. Not searching, but seeing. And then gently said, "You haven't lost the path." And with a quiet gesture pointed beneath their feet. "You're standing on it." And the traveler looked down, and there it was, not newly formed and not restored, just recognized. Nothing had changed about the path, only the traveler's ability to see it. Sometimes, friends, we're not lost. We're disoriented. We can never be separated from God. We are never away from God. But sometimes we are unable to see clearly. Maybe it sometimes feels like we have lost our way. It feels like in every direction we turn that we meet more chaos, more confusion. And it's that sacred pause. We pause and we breathe and we recenter to that truth, and we realize we're not lost. Nothing's wrong. I mean, it may not feel great. Maybe we fell and sprained our ankle. Things happen in this manifest world. But in spirit, we know that everything is okay. And that That for us, resurrection is not about finding a new path. It is about recognizing the path that we never left. The Christ presence is not somewhere else. It is the ground of our being. Here and now, at every moment of our lives. And the problem is not absence. The problem is recognition. So friends, I just want you to know, right? Like at any given moment, look down, the path is still beneath you. What is ready to rise in your awareness? What is ready to rise in you? A new way of seeing, a new way of responding, a new way of identifying. Not something added. Not something added. Not something added because you are already whole. Something revealed about the truth of who you are. In Scripture, our resurrection story begins with the women showing up at the tomb and finding the stone rolled away. The stone was not rolled away to let life out. The stone was not rolled away to let life out. It was rolled away so that we could see. There is nothing blocking us from knowing our oneness with God except what we believe. There is nothing separating you from God except that which is not truth. So we have our Lenten practices of letting go, of bringing order, of seeing clearly. Because we are not trying to get back to God. We are waking up to what has always been by purifying our mind, our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, so that we can clearly see that we are always in the presence as the presence. We are one with the presence. There is only one life, God's life, and we are living it now. May Rowland said, Jesus, in putting on the Christ, paved the way for all of us to obtain our Christ nature. In following Jesus Christ, we learn to follow our own indwelling Christ and to make a constant union with his great spiritual power within us. The Christ is alive in you. Christ is risen, but Christ is not just risen. Christ is present. Christ is alive, and Christ is waiting to be lived through you, as you. Each and every day, with every decision you make, with every action you take, with every thought you think, with every word you utter, Christ is alive and waiting to be lived as you. Christ is alive. And you must allow Christ to be alive in you. That's what I was directed to share this Resurrection Sunday, my friends. Christ is alive. Allow it to be alive in you. And so it is, and so we let it be. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Rev Todd. Thank you, Rev Todd, for your message. I'm going to sing this one. This one is called I Rise. I rise from the shadows of my fears. I rise from the worries and the doubts. I rise from the ashes of my past. I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise from all self-sabotage. I rise from the anger deep inside. I rise from this lonely, wounded heart. I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise. Like the phoenix, I rise. Spread my wings. I rise. Moving forward. I rise. No looking back. I rise. I rise from shattered hopes and dreams. I rise from pretenses and all masks. I rise from my self-inflicted chaos. I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise. Like the phoenix, I rise. Spread my wings. I rise. Moving forward. I rise. No looking back. I rise. Like the phoenix, I rise. Reborn. I rise. To a new life. I rise.
Beautiful, Deidrey. Thank you so much.